Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the favorite part of my day. And I hope it's becoming your favorite part, the favorite part of your day as well. Today, we are going to be considering how to regain control of your life when debt wears you down. Now, actually, I received a couple of messages from some of the people who follow me that necessitated this episode. So the first one says, "Good evening, sir. I'm a fan of yours. I'm here to seek advice if you don't mind. I'll be 32 years old this December and I already feel I'm a failure. I want you to take note of the emotions here because that's what informs the topic that we're dealing with today." He says, "I already feel I'm a failure. Why? Because my business has crumbled with debt and it has caged me." Look at that metaphor, that language. I can't make a move. I'm stuck. This has been going on for 2 years already, and it's beginning to tell on my health. Now, look at that last second to the two last paragraphs. He said, "I already feel like a failure." He repeated it because so many of my friends and mates are all married with kids while I'm still living in my father's house. I cry and pray every night. And then the second one says, "Good morning. My name is..." Let me go straight to the point. "I took a loan amounting to 3 million from Zenith Bank and about 2 years ago to facilitate and improve my trucking business. 3 months after, the cost of diesel skyrocketed with more than 300% increase. This brought a whole lot of problem into my management and investor retrieved the 3 trucks from me. I have a property that I have placed for sale which I'm yet to actualize. Please help me, sir." All right. So this is why we are dealing with this topic today, because debt creates serious emotional fog. Emotional fog. Underline that, and you can actually type it in the comment section. Emotional fog. Okay? That clouds your ability to think clearly and make decisions. Does anyone watching relate to this? Debt creates an emotional fog that clouds your ability to think clearly and make decisions. So this is what I'm going to be handling tonight. I'm not going to be talking so much about debt because the debt is not a problem. The real problem about debt that overwhelms us is what I've just read to you. It creates an emotional fog that clouds your ability to think clearly and make decisions. And you see, so anything that attacks your ability to think clearly and make decisions is very dangerous. Okay, so debt does that. It weighs heavily on your mind, leaving you feeling stuck and hopeless. And then over time, it drains your energy. It erodes your confidence and sense of control. This is why we should be talking a lot more about debt than we actually do. And as usual, I bring you content in social media that doesn't exist. I bet you've not seen the content I'm going to present to you tonight anywhere. Yet, majority of the people online have this problem with debt. They're carrying so much debt and they're carrying so much anxiety. They are feeling stuck like the ones I read to you before we started, and then hopeless. But we can do something about it. Let's change that. So in my space, in my domain, in my coaching practice, we don't just talk about problems. We actually solve them. So let's talk about how to regain control of your life when debt weighs you down. Does anybody relate to this? Type yes in the chat. Does anybody relate to the weight that debt places on your shoulders? Type yes in the chat. Okay, flow with me and then always let me know that you are there. Now I'm going to propose two solutions, okay? Two set of ideas for dealing with overwhelming debt. The first one is behavioral, or if you like, mental or psychological solution. And then the second one is technical solution. So because the debt that you're carrying right now actually have those two elements. It's got the element of behavior, okay, which is a set of activities, behaviors, habits that actually made you borrow that money. Whatever it was that necessitated that, because it was actually a decision. So whatever surrounded the decisions for borrowing that money for your business or for your personal use, there's a behavioral component. Therefore, there's got to be a behavioral solution. Is this making sense to someone? The debt you are carrying now has a behavioral root because there was a way you processed your situation that made you go to borrow that money from the bank or from an individual or from a loan app, which I do not recommend at all. And then there's a technical solution part of it. That's where you're dealing with the numbers, you're dealing with interest rate, you're dealing with the calls that you're getting every time from your creditor. And so always think about these two components of dealing with a debt, because if you don't deconstitutionalize the debt, it becomes this heavy monster that presses you down every waking moment of your life. But by the time you start tearing it apart into its components, you begin to see immediately that no debt is insoluble. Before we go on, actually type that in the comment section. No debt is insoluble. No debt is insoluble or insolvable. Okay, insolvable. Yeah, because throughout human history, people have owed. Right from ancient times, people have owed money and then paid back. In our recent times, you hear about billionaires, who declare bankruptcy or who owed lots of money, but they came out of it. So debt does not need to be like the end of the world, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to propose what I have called a debt reset process. Believe me, this process helped me. I just kind of reverse engineered how I dealt with debt. I had serious debt. Some of you already know my story about my debt, okay? And looking back, I found that these 3 steps helped me. Okay, so this debt reset process helped me. So everybody type debt reset process, because that's what I really want to propose to you. So you are seeing the solution to whatever debt you're going through right now. And then we're not focusing so much as the number or the amount of money, but I'm focusing on your regaining your ability to think clearly, like we said, to think clearly and to make decisions. Because it's that ability that will help you to pay off your debt. But if you don't have clarity in your mind, if your brain is fogged, and then you're under this emotional weight that you can't seem to get out of, then you cannot think clearly. And if you cannot think clearly, you cannot make good decisions. And if you cannot make good decisions, then you cannot pay off your debt. So you don't pay the debt by going to look for the money. Because some of you have been looking for the money for a long time. Someone else approached me yesterday or day before, or actually sent a message on WhatsApp, and it's the same thing. So he or she has been trying for months to deal with this problem and then hasn't been able to do it. So debt reset process, I want you to pay attention to this process I'm going to give you, because it's tested, and particularly for the Africans and people in the Caribbean and people in the Pacific Islands. This works very well for you, because in our situation here, we don't have the kind of tools and facilities available in the Western world, like in America, to deal with debt. One of such solutions is what they call debt consolidation. So, here, if you're owing so many people, like I was owing 4 different financial institutions, it was difficult to consolidate that debt. And then we don't so much as have credit card debts like they do in the West, because fortunately for us, everything is cash here. So now this debt reset process, which is what I'm going to teach this night, is a clear, actionable plan to help you regain control of your financial life. Because for many of us, because of the debt we are carrying, our financial lives are out of control. Okay, and if that describes you, just type me in the comment section. Yeah, just be authentic. There's no need hiding these things, because we've all been there. And if your financial life is out of control, then you need to follow this process, because it will help you regain it. It will help you to reset your mind, because your mind is a primary and the last instrument for creating wealth. But a lot of people are not giving attention to developing their minds. They are not giving attention to protecting their minds. They are not giving attention to the sort of things that they feed their minds. It's not everything on social media that you consume. It's not everything you consume. It's not everything, every comedy skit or every Netflix something that you watch. These things affect your mind, and anything affecting your mind also affects your ability to create wealth. So you want to make sure you're putting in very rich material, developing this mind, sowing good seeds in it, because that's what's going to give you the financial results. All right? And then it will move you from being overwhelmed to being empowered. I have been overwhelmed, I'm telling you, by debt. I have been overwhelmed. And I remember when one of the banks I owed hired a collection agency after me. These people peppered my life. And they were the ones who eventually came to execute the repossession of my SUV at that time. They called in the morning, they called in the afternoon, they called in the night. They harassed me. They threatened that I was going to go to prison. They used all that. So I know what it feels to be, how it feels to be overwhelmed. And then actually, what made it even more overwhelming was at the time, the income wasn't coming. So on one part, I had very bad debt. And then on the other hand, I didn't have any source of income to match the repayment. Does anybody here understand what I'm talking about? Say I do. Say I do in the chat. Okay? Say I do. So because if you have a debt, but you have a source of income, your business is still bringing in cash flow, or you're still having salary. Like when I was working with Shell in Chevron, I took debt. I took loans from the banks, from the cooperative. But you see, I had no fear, because every month the cooperative automatically took the money, so I didn't feel it. But now when you have a debt and then you don't have a source of income to address it, it can be overwhelming, isn't it? It can be overwhelming. But that's exactly what I do as a coach. So I not only go through it, but I also create a process to help you to come out of it. So now the debt reset process, okay, DRP, which I created, has 3 dimensions, 3 steps, 3 concepts, 3 pillars. The first one is cognitive reframe. Okay, so don't let it sound like a big word. It's just saying you've got to have a mind shift about this matter. You've got to have a change in the way you look at your debt. Because if you change the way you look at things, I'm telling you, including your debt, everything you look at changes. The second step in the debt reset process is practical action. Remember, I told you that there are behavioral as well as technical components of the debt reset. So practical action, because action matters. You've got to take action, all right, while trusting in the process. And then the third pillar in the debt reset process to reset your debt is inner strength. Okay, so you need the inner strength. If you don't need it, you're going to collapse. So let's take it one after the other. So the first part of the debt reset process is the cognitive reframe. What does this mean? It basically means changing how you see yourself. Because the tendency is for the debt to define you. It's for the debt. So I have a friend who's had very serious issues with debt, and then challenges. His business is not working, it's not lifting it off the ground, but then there are debts. Some of the debts are 10 years old, some 2 years old, some 7, some 12. But this gentleman is a very, very spiritually strong fellow, because he does not let his debt define him. You see, why you have to be careful about your debt, and why cognitive reframe is very powerful, is that debt creates a sense of failure and helplessness. If you understand what I'm talking about, just type "I do" again. It creates a sense of failure. You could see that first note that gentleman sent to me. He said he feels like a total failure, and he's just 32 years old. So you don't want it to get to that level where, because of the debt or the failure you're having, you now make your debt define you. You are not a failure just because you're owing money. Okay? And then if you have debt and then you feel like a failure just because of that debt, that's good news for you. So separate your worth from your financial situation. Goodness gracious me. You are greater than your debt. Debt is ordinary money. It's ordinary money. Paper. Type in the comment section, "I am greater than my debt." Every one of you, every single person, type there, "I am greater than my debt." You are more worthy than your debt. So let's say in your currency you're owing, just give me an amount, 1 billion. Let's even talk about your physical body. Which part of your body will you sell for like 1 billion of your currency? If you're even talking about, I'm not even talking about your spirit now. Okay? I'm not even talking about your spirit, your worth, your value as a human being. I'm even talking about, let's talk about your physical body, tiny physical body. If somebody comes to you and gives you 1 billion of your currency, will you give him your 2 kidneys and then you put the 1 billion in there? If somebody comes to you and says, "Please give me your lungs for $1 billion," are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Then you're owing a tiny, some of you, as tiny as $500. Somebody told me he wanted to kill himself because he was owing money he couldn't pay. I asked him how much. He said 500,000 naira. Can you imagine that? You are worth more than $500. So I need to drum this into your head. You are greater than your debt. And you need to write it and put it beside your bed. Put it by your desk. Put it inside your... So anytime the creditor, you see the creditor and other, pull up that card and say, "I am greater than my debt. I am more worthy than my debt." That amount of money you are owing, answer me in the comment section. That amount of money you are owing, can it buy you? So your identity is greater than your struggles. Oh, that's another very powerful one. Okay, you can tweet that one. You can make it into a frame. Just give me the credit. Okay. Your identity is greater than your struggles. And then another thing that will help you in reframing the way you look at your debt and the way you look at yourself is that every setback is temporary. When I was going through that horrible, horrible debt situation, it looked like it will not come to an end. Nothing was working. Income wasn't coming in to pay that. Everything just looked like standstill. But now I have it behind me. It was just temporary. So whatever you are going through right now in terms of your debt is a temporary situation. So this cognitive reframe, shifting your mindset about debt, separating yourself from your debt and telling yourself, look, this debt does not define me. It doesn't matter what your creditors are telling you, the nasty emails that they are sending you, the nasty phone calls and text messages that they are sending about you. Don't let it affect your self-worth and your self-esteem. Preserve your self-esteem. It's one of your most important possessions. Now, let's go to the second one. Create a practical action. Action is so important. And you don't just wake up in the morning and then go and start running around, to look for money. You actually need to sit down and then create a structure. The structure is as simple as like what I did. I took a sheet of paper. I made a list of all the debts I owed. I owed the banks, and then the ones I owed individuals. Some of them were in dollars, thousands of dollars. Some of them were in naira, the local currency. I made a list of everyone I owed. And then in that list, I also made a list of the obligations around that time, because sometimes, what amplifies the debt is that you still have to pay school fees. You still have to buy food and all that. So I made a list of all those things. I had some school fees outstanding, and that was the school fees in dollars. I had all kinds of things. So I made a list of them to create a structure, to first of all even know how much am I owing. Because the commonest mistake many of us make is that we carry these things in our head. Never process your debt in your head. Type it in the comment section, somebody. Never process your debt in your head. Write it down. Do it tonight if you do not have it. Yes, you are owing this bank this amount, you're owing this person. No. Because I discovered that by putting the things on paper, the thing immediately, it neutralizes it. Writing out all the people you are owing and how much you owe them, and maybe a little of some other information, how old the debt and all that, and even saying like the order you are going to pay it off, is powerful. It immediately neutralizes, because as long as you're storing it, you're using your brain as the hard disk for your debt information, your brain is going to suffer. But the moment you extract it from your brain and put it down in paper, it loses its power over your brain. It can continue battling with the paper so that you can sleep well. And let me just tell you, nothing will happen. All those people threatening you, they will put you in jail, nothing will happen. But I'll tell you how you should let nothing happen, because part of your action plan is not only to break down the debt and break down the challenges into smaller actionable tasks. Part of it, and I need to add it to this slide, is also communicating with your creditors. That is a big secret I learned. Communicate with them. Don't hide from them. When they call, answer and assure them. I kept explaining, because the people who I was owing, I actually had an investment which I had projected was going to pay off the debt, but the investment ended up being a scam, and I lost all that money, because I had projected that, for instance, the car that I bought, it was funded by a bank, and at that time, 2007, that car was 10.5 million. That was when the dollar was like, so that must have been like that was a lot of money, actually. Come to think about it, that was a lot of money. That was approaching like $70,000-$80,000. It was Nissan Armada, brand new. And but then I had put in some money in this so-called hedge fund that was supposed to be paying me 10% every month. And then that 10% every month was calculated to service the debt on the vehicle. But then the so-called investment collapsed. So just left me high and dry. So now it gave me material to talk to my creditors. So whenever they called, I told them, okay, please, this is my situation. I made this investment. This is what happened. The SEC, Central Bank, froze all our accounts. They said they will pay us. Please be patient with me. I am making effort. I do not intend to owe. But right now, it doesn't exist. This is the business I'm running. It's also not generating that kind of. So I communicated regularly. And I had meetings a couple of times with them. They want to meet me. So sometimes it could be so frightening, because it's like, if these people are coming to your office, sometimes they wanted to come to my house. But then a couple of the times I met with them, we met at the office, and I explained plainly to them. And I remember one occasion, three of them came, a big ranking manager and a couple of others. They came at me because it was a lot of money I was owing the bank. And then we met, and I started explaining to them. They said, that is difficult that we see you online, your articles, you're all over the place, because I suspected that was a problem. I have a massive following on LinkedIn. And trust me, all those creditors, the banks you're owing, all of them, they're also there. So when you post a picture of you in business class, you're flying from Lagos to New York in business class, and then you take that your selfie, and then you caption it, chilling on my way to New York. The bank manager is seeing it. They will come. They will come. They are trailing you online. So that's how they trailed me. I wasn't posting that kind of picture. Like most of you know me online, I'm not that vain. So I wasn't posting that. But they were seeing the kind of high quality content I was putting out there on LinkedIn, and people loved it. And then I will run programs and then tell people to come. So they believed I was making so much money. And I showed them records. Okay, look at this one. We did this leaders retreat. We charged this amount. We did it in a co-hotel. This is our books. So it's not that I have the money and I don't want to pay you people. So do you understand what I'm saying? The mistake people make is they fail to communicate with their creditors. They also need your assurance. So that is part of creating a structure, a practical action plan. Are you getting value from this? Yeah, then go ahead and share it. Go ahead and share it right now, as we normally do. Share it, share it, share it. Don't be selfish with this information. If you think it will actually help the people in your network out there, just share it. Always share, and then come to the comment section and say shared. Okay, so that's step 2. Then the final step, inner strength. This thing is not religion. This is not religion. We have inner life, all of us. And then true strength comes from inner strength. It comes from within you, because a lot of people they don't have strength within. So that when death comes, they are so scared and they are so shattered and depressed because there is no inner strength. Many of us seem to source our sense of strength or esteem from what's going on outside of us, from what we have, from our job. So your job is giving you inner strength. If the source of your strength is your job, you're finished. So because what happens when the job goes, your inner strength goes. If the source of your strength and your pride is the car, what happens when the car goes? Or maybe it's your uncle or your wife or somebody is a source of your inner strength. What happens when something happens to them and they are not there? That strength collapses. So you need inner strength to deal with debt. Resilience. Because when debt feels overwhelming, you have to stay anchored through faith and focus. I was telling you the other day that there are 3 spiritual pillars to go through tough times. When things are the way they are in the economy, you have to draw strength from the unseen realm, not from because what are you drawing strength from? Is it from me? If you come now to ask me to pay your children's school fees, do you know what I'm dealing with? Other people are dealing with things, so your strength can't be in me. It can't be in another person. But that's what many of us do. Sometimes, we are in debt. Okay, no worry. And some people even come to my DM and say, please help me pay this debt. Are you kidding me? Where is your strength? Okay, so resilience is a strength that keeps you standing. You've got to be strong. Again, I read the Bible a lot. I read it every day. That's the source of my wisdom, and that's the source of my strength, if you really want to know. And again, I keep saying I'm not religious, because there's a lot of confusion about what it means to have a relationship with God. People invented religion, but God didn't want religion. God wants a relationship with you. He loves you personally. He calls your name. Because there's God. How did you think all these things came about? or yeah, they tell you evolution and you believe them, or you just came into the planet and things like that. There's God. There's someone, who is sovereign, ruling over all things, who makes the laws, who put the law of gravity in place, who put the law of sowing and reaping, who put the law of mercy, of grace, of forgiveness in place, who put the laws of power in place, the laws of relationship in place, who instituted marriage and relationship and things like that, and parenting. So you have to believe and rely and take strength from him. So there are those three pillars of spirituality, not of religion: faith, hope, and love. And so when you are going through overwhelming debt, you have to draw spiritual resources of faith, of hope, of love. Okay? And then you can, through your daily spiritual practices like prayer, like meditation, like surrender, because that's what I do. King David, prayed a very powerful prayer. He says, whenever I'm overwhelmed, he said, lead me to a rock that is higher than I. Where do you think I source all my courage and strength from? Do you know what comes at me every day? Do you know how many people just hate me for? They haven't met me. They just read what I wrote and they hate me, and they say it. Sometimes you see it in their comments. A little child that's not even the age of my grandchild comes there, like the one I saw this evening, and he says, Mumu man, you are not rich and you are trying to teach other people to be rich. And then I just quietly, some of you have been following, so I responded to him. I said, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, sir. Please don't be offended. And I really meant it. I mean, it's so you do not know what I face every day. And now these are people who express it online. So the places I go, you don't even know who is looking at you, somehow. And I feel it. But guys, I am strong. I am courageous. Because as I read through the scriptures, I am amazed at how many times God himself is telling human beings to be strong and courageous. If the person who made you is telling you, be strong, he knows what he's saying. Because this planet is not for sissies. This planet, this world, if you are going to bring your head from under the water, if you are going to take your head up, you got to be ready. The earth is a very, very interesting place filled with opposition. So if you are not strong and courageous, then very small things like this, you say, okay, I want to kill myself. Yesterday, they saved somebody who was about to jump into the bridge, the Third Mainland Bridge. For those of you who are not from Nigeria, Third Mainland Bridge, it's a bridge across the lagoon. And then often people go there and jump in there and kill themselves. Guys, if you're not strong and courageous, you are heading that way. But you've got to be strong. You wake up one day and then the exchange rate that was 1 to 200 all of a sudden is almost 1 to 2,000. You've got to be strong. Then things you used to buy 1,000, now you buy it for 15,000. You've got to be strong and courageous. So these are the three in summary. So these are the three steps, and I hope you have found value and encouragement tonight and something practical that you're going to put into practice to deal with your debt. So these are, again, the three pillars in summary of the debt reset process. Okay, the debt reset process is a clear, actionable plan to help you regain control of your financial life. Because many of you listening to me here, your finances are out of control. And I've been in both worlds. I've been in both worlds where my finances were totally out of control. You tell your finances, come here. The finances say, who are you? Get away, my friend. But you need to bring yourself to a place where you are the one giving command, not your finances giving command. I've been on both sides, and I can tell you, when your financial life is out of control, bills are hitting you from left, right, and center, school fee, house rent, and then you have nothing to do about it. It's terrible. Okay, so this is what this reset process helps you to do. It helps you to reset your mindset and to move you from overwhelm to empowerment. Because you see, you need to attack your debt from a place of from an empowered place, not from a place of pessimism, a place of discouragement, a place of depression. How can you pay off no depressed person ever pays off their debt? You can type that in the comment section. You can go to the bank with that one. No depressed person ever solves their debt problem. And if you have seen any, or you are the one, you're probably the first. Tell me about it. You were depressed, and then because of your debt or your financial situation, and then you solved it. The person depressed about their finances is coming from a disempowered place already. And finances will deal with you if you are coming from a place of disempowerment. But when you come from a place of courage and you face the situation, before you know it, money will now call you master. But now you are calling money master. But you need to come to a place where money bows to you and says, Master, what would you have me do today? But you are the one that wakes up and then you call money, Master, please, can you help me today? So that's what this reset process does. So first, cognitive reframe. They tell yourself you are not your debt and that you are far greater than your financial challenges. You're bigger than it. Your financial challenges are not bigger than you. So you wake up every morning, speak to your financial challenges and say, financial challenges, I am bigger than you. I am bigger, way bigger than you. I'm greater than you. You might look like Goliath, but I am David. You've got to open your mouth and talk. Open your mouth, talk to the financial challenges. When you wake up tomorrow morning and you say this thing I've just said, you will see how empowered that you go out and things begin to change. Number 2, practical action. Okay, as you do your cognitive reframing, you are now able to make better decisions. Now you can now plan your practical action, and then this action will help you to put structure to the debt. Because if the debt is not structured, it's overwhelming to the mind. And then number 3, inner strength. Convincing yourself that you have to be resilient, because tough times will always pass. What you're going through now will also become a thing of the past. All right, so before we end it today, please tell me, what did you gain today? What touched you the most? I would like all of you to please write, and those of you on YouTube as well. Please type in the comment section. I will read all of them. All right, tell me, from what you've heard today, what was your aha moment? What touched you the most? What inspires you the most? What are you going to act on? What was like revelation, like aha moment for you? Something that hit you, something I said, something you heard. Type it in the comment section. I want to read all of it. All of you, please, everyone. Just do that. Do that very quickly. Okay, so thank you all very much. This is where, I think a couple of comments are coming in. There's some slight delay. So let me read just a couple of them, and then we can round off. But keep typing, because even when we end the live, I will still read it. So Dennis says, I must have an actionable plan and follow the plan. Very good. Very, very good. Yeah. And then Emmanuel Obonna says, tough times don't last forever. So that's what made it for you. Lois says, never process your debt in your head. Absolutely. Then, secondly, communicate with your debtors. And then, my identity is greater than my setbacks. And no debt. Yeah, no debt can buy you. There's no debt that can buy you. Even America's debt, that is like close to $40 trillion, cannot buy Lois. Cannot buy your it can't buy your lungs, can't buy your liver, can't buy anything. Your pancreas can't buy any part of you. Awesome. All right, so thank you all very much for showing up tonight. So whatever happens, keep showing up, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, this is time to be alive. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise or let anything discourage you. Keep showing up because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I will see you same time tomorrow. I love you all. Bye for now.